What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and this is my full hands-on review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Now I've been really looking forward to this device, and now that I finally got it, I've been very impressed. Now why have I been impressed? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this full hands-on review. So let's start off with the display. You've got a 5.7-inch Super AMOLED screen, and it's got a Quad HD resolution, so that's 2560 by 1440, and that works out to roughly about 515 ppi pixel density. Now for me, this is one of the best displays out there. Contrast ratio is really good. You've got some amazing colors and some great viewing angles. Yes, the colors can be a little bit too vibrant for some, but you can customize this somewhat, and that pixel density gives you some very sharp images. Now this size of screen has always been considered a bit too big traditionally, but now we've got things like the iPhone 6 Plus as well as the Nexus 6, so everything seems to be going larger. Now with a large screen you get a larger device, but it's not too bad in terms of size. I mean, if we put it up against the iPhone 6 Plus, you can see that it's actually shorter in height even though it's got a larger screen. The iPhone 6 Plus has a 5.5-inch screen and it's only ever so slightly wider. And that brings us on to the build. Now this is amazing because Samsung have finally ditched that full plastic build, and this time they've gone for a bit of a hybrid. So you've got a metal frame with chamfered edges, and then you've got a textured soft touch back. Now I've said this on my social media, to me this is the best built phone out there at the moment. That is my opinion, and the reason being is that I think it's a great combination because that metal frame gives you a solid and premium look and feel, but having that soft touch back makes it a lot more grippy and more comfortable to hold. So for example, using a full metal build, I found myself having to use a case because it can be a little bit slippery in the hand. This soft touch back eliminates that problem, so hats off to Samsung here for an amazing build. Now looking at the internals, as with the other Note series devices, Samsung have absolutely packed this up with some of the best internals out there. You've got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 processor, which is clocked at 2.7 GHz quad core, the Adreno 420 GPU, and 3 GB of RAM. There's also an octa-core version available for certain markets. Now in my experience of using this device, it's been super fast. I've not had any issues. A lot of you were asking me if TouchWiz lags. Maybe a slight lag here or there, but nothing to mention really. This is definitely one of the fastest devices out there, and I don't think you're going to have any problems throwing anything at it. Now in terms of the memory, you've got 32 GB of onboard storage. This is the only version available. There may be a 64 GB version later on, but at this point in time there is only the 32 GB version. But that's not a problem because you've got expandable storage via micro SD card up to 128 GB. Now initially we weren't too sure about this. A lot of people were saying 64 GB, but I can confirm that it is now 128 GB. So you do have the option of expanding your storage by a massive amount, and this is another advantage of having a plastic back which you can remove. Now moving on to the cameras, you've got a 16 megapixel rear-facing camera. Now the key thing here is that this is the first Samsung Note device that has optical image stabilization. Now this was lacking in previous models, and it's absolutely great. This is one of the best cameras out on the market. I've done a detailed comparison of this versus the iPhone 6 Plus, which you can find on the channel, so that will give you a bit of a better idea up against a popular camera, so you can see the details on there. And I was very impressed with the shots overall. Lots of detail, great colors, and that resolution 16 megapixels allows you to crop in further as well. In terms of video, you've got up to 4K, so that's 2160p. Now the best thing about this once again is that optical image stabilization. In the previous version, so the Note 3, you had 4K, but there was no stabilization, not even software stabilization, which sort of made it unusable. And this is the same situation with the Samsung Galaxy S5. So the fact that you've got optical image stabilization now means you can get some nice stable 4K footage on this phone, which is absolutely great. In terms of the front-facing camera, you've got a 3.7 megapixel front-facing camera capable of filming 1080p HD, and it's got an f1.9 aperture. Now once again, this is an absolutely great camera. It is a little bit soft for my liking. I would have preferred it to be a little bit sharper, and beauty face is switched on by default, so you do have to switch that off if you don't want to have your skin smoothed out too much. And it's also quite wide, so it's roughly about 90 degrees compared to 77 degrees on the Note 3, which means this is going to be great for your group selfies. Now I did find this a little bit too wide for your personal selfies, but you can always crop in. You can also use the heart rate sensor as a shutter button, which is an advantage for this size of device. There's also wide selfie mode, so you can do a panorama with your selfie. Now, I didn't really try this out, but this is an option that is available. I mean, it is already quite wide as it is, so I'm not sure you're going to be using it as much. Now, moving on to the operating system, you've got Android 4.4.4, which is KitKat, and it has Samsung's TouchWiz UI on top. There should be the update to Lollipop coming soon. How soon, I'm not too sure. Now, I know a lot of people don't like TouchWiz, but I actually think they've implemented it really well for this screen size. Now, this is something that I found with lots of large devices, that it's simply a larger device with everything blown up, and the device really doesn't take advantage of the larger screen. Whereas with the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, it really does. You've got some advanced multitasking, so you've got the multi-window, which we've seen before. You've also got a pop-up window, so you can drag down from the side, and you can have multiple windows open. Now, I'm not sure how many of these you will use, but it's just one of those things that you can use because of the insane specs of this device, and it works really, really well. You've also got the S Pen, which is a great feature. Now, I personally didn't find myself using this too much, but you do have some really nice advanced features. For example, Action Memo, which is going to let you quickly jot down some notes, and it's actually going to convert this into usable text. So if you jot down a number, you can then call it. There's Screen Write, which takes a screenshot and lets you doodle all over it. And what I really liked is the ability to use this as a mouse. So if you want to select text and things, it's so much more precise. And also, say for example you're in the gallery, and instead of having to tap and select lots of images, you can simply click and drag and multiple select. And I really like this feature. Also, touching on some of the additional hardware features, you still have an IR blaster at the top of the device, so you can control your television and other devices. You've got a fingerprint sensor on the home button now. This is a little bit better than the S5, but you still have to swipe, so it is a little bit tricky, especially on this size of device. To swipe, you need to use two hands, so if you're trying to unlock your device with one hand, it can be a little bit difficult. I really wish this is something that they would just copy from Apple and do something similar to Touch ID, where you don't have to swipe and you simply can touch. And you also have that built-in heart rate sensor at the back of the device, which is going to be useful with your health apps. Now, I personally don't use this myself, but if you are into your health, then this may be something that you use. Now, moving on to the battery. Now, this is something that Note devices are known for, the battery life. You've got a huge battery in here. It's a 3220 milliamp battery, and it is removable, so you can carry on a spare if needed. But personally speaking, I didn't feel the need to carry around a spare because the battery life on the Note 4 is absolutely great. You should be able to get through the full day, even on heavy use. Some users may even get 2 full days out of this on light use. And what makes things even better is the fact that you've got fast charging on here. So you can go from roughly about 0 to 50% in 30 minutes. Now, I did test this out, and in about 30 minutes I got about 47%, which was absolutely great. So if you're stuck on your phone all day, you should still not have a problem with this device because you can easily get a top up really quickly. Now, finally, looking at the price. Now, this is definitely on the higher end of the pricing scale, so you're going to be looking at roughly about 600 to 650 pounds in the UK, and in the US offline you're going to be looking at roughly about 800 to 850 dollars. Now, this is the offline off contract prices just to see the value of the device, and it's definitely on the higher price bracket of smartphones. So there we have it, the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Now, overall, I think this is an absolutely great device, and a lot of people ask me, Saf, what is your device of choice? What is your best smartphone right now? And I have to say it has to be the Samsung Galaxy Note 4. For me, it ticks a lot of the boxes that I need from a smartphone. You've got an absolutely great display. The build, the hybrid build that you've got, gives you the best of both worlds in my opinion. And also the utilization of that larger screen with all the multitasking features are absolutely great. Now, I know this device isn't going to be for everybody. It is definitely on the larger side, and a lot of people don't like TouchWiz, but I do think they've utilized it quite well on here. What do you think of the Samsung Galaxy Note 4? Do you think it is the best smartphone of 2014? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay, there isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.